Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me here today. I just want to start off by apologising. We have had a few technical glitches. It's just delayed our start there. So I hope you've been sat waiting. I really am very sorry, but I'm here now so we can get going with it. And today is something really interesting because it's really exciting for me as well. And this is the first time I've ever actually worked with the two Red Robins dies with you as well. So this for me is a first, so I'm really excited because it's my first opportunity to sort of get going with it and have a try and put my take on it, which I think is really nice because there's so much to be explored with it. But I hope you've all had a lovely Easter, had a really nice bank holiday. The weather was incredible. It was so nice. Got to sit in the garden, which was lovely. So I hope you've all had a nice time. I don't actually know what it's like today. It was quite cold this morning when I came in, but I have seen the sun coming through the windows, fingers crossed. So wherever you are today joining us, thank you ever so much. We're so happy to have you. So we have got a bundle for you today, which is brilliant because we've got 4 individual collections from Two Red Robins, which you may have seen before. Some of these launched late last year, and maybe I think early this year, but the pricing is incredible on these. So these are full collections that we've got for you. So I've got 4 collections to play with, and I'm going to combine all of these together to do some different projects that are a little bit more varied. But I wanted to show you that it's actually so easy to craft with. So the first one we're starting with is Nature's Homestead, and this has got 45 dies within this bundle. Now straight away, I'm looking at 127.94. But you're going to get that for $49.99, and of course if you are a Robin's Nest member you're going to get that for $44.99 with $2.95 postage, which is incredible. And you can see what you're actually getting within there. The silver birch is an incredible die to work with. You're getting multi-step dies within that collection. You're getting the beautiful tools to work with. You can see you've got that overlooked watering can, which is brilliant. Again, this is a nested shape, so you'll be able to see me using this. So you've got multiple sizes to work with. But if you are a Robin's Nest member, on that collection, you're saving £82.95. You're saving double what you're spending, which is incredible saving on that collection because it is such a collection that you can use throughout multi-seasons as well. You can see all the different objects that you've got in there to work with, even just the foliage. It's such a good additional die to have. But then when you're working with things like your silver birch and your overlooked, you'll find turning these into your card shapes. So if you're ever stuck on where to start with the project, these are brilliant as an actual card shape on its own. So you can see the second one we've got here for, I mean, look at that saving. That's incredible. You're almost saving £100 on that, 98.91 saving. Okay, so this is a Bumblebee Barn, and this has 45 dies within this collection. Again, some of these are multi-step, so you've got different sizes to work with on these. It was originally $143.90, but you're going to get that for the incredible price of $44.99 in the Nest Members Club, which is brilliant. And you can see all those, I mean, those little feathers that sit right in the centre of that collection. How beautiful are they to have? They're so thoughtful, they're so delicate. But when you're saving £98.91, that is incredible. I just want to say hi to everyone as well as you're joining us throughout the day. It's going to be a lovely craft session that I can be able to sit here and share all this with you. The third one that we have is the Morning Delights die bundles. You've got 42 dies in here, and again, what a saving you're getting on this. This is an absolute steal. It's amazing. So originally 127, which is the price we first bought it, and it is now down to $44.99, which is just an absolutely brilliant saving. That is incredible. And you can see there all of those items you've got. I mean, that door with that brick wall is an amazing die to work with, and the reflection that goes with that. The reflections for these are of course available at the Highlight Crafts website, so check out for the reflections there as well. But so many of these are interchangeable, multi-uses for these. And they're just absolutely, I mean, the fourth one we've got for you, Cottonwood Clearing. You've got 32 dies in here. Original price of being $126.89 is now down to $44.99 as a Robin's Nest member, which is incredible. So if you're not in the members club, you want to get into that and you can get an incredible saving. You can see there all the different items that you can use. And we've got the beautiful foxes in this one. You can see them there curled up, look like he might be basking in the sun. And you've got your other one there that's out for a walk of an evening. But all of that beautiful foliage frames all of your cards. And that freestanding die that's down in the bottom right, you've got 2 sizes within that one, which means you've got multi-dimensions to play with, meaning you can create this perspective to set the scene. And of course, under the arch, how beautiful is that? It's like almost a ruin that you come across on a beautiful countryside walk. And that could be filled with a scene behind, foliage growing around it. that there could be the centerpiece to an incredible project. But you're getting a saving there of £81.90 if you are a Nest member, which is brilliant, because when you're saving that amount of money, you're saving more than you're spending, and you're getting so much to play with. Then of course, these dies come in varying sizes with reflections. So the coloured artwork that you're seeing here today, you can work with at home as well to create a like-for-like project, which is brilliant. And of course, those amazing prices, which are the Robin's Nest membership prices, you can join that membership today for £24, which is a 12-month membership. And of course, the benefits of that are brilliant. You get 10% off all your Highlight purchases on the Highlight Crafts website, and you get free delivery on orders over £25. And you do get actually an early access to web exclusives, so you get to see them first. You do get a lovely Robin's Nest lanyard. So if you come and see us at the shows like Crafting Live, you can wear your Robin's Nest lanyards and you come straight to the stand, and you get a little pin badge as well, so you can pop that on. You get beautiful special offers. You get a window sticker, which is fun to play with, and you can hear about all the workshops and retreats first. So you get first dibs on every single bit of information. Just makes it feel so exclusive to you. And it's a great membership to be of, because again, those prices are incredible. But what I actually couldn't believe when I was first asked to do this show, I was first really excited because it was something I'd not done before, and that's always something I'd like to set myself a challenge to. But secondly, was the amount that you actually get within these collections. You could be looking at a die on its own that may be worth £15, £16, but you're getting a full collection for about £45. It's amazing what you actually get within this. And just to show you actually, one of those dies we spoke about when I said how much you actually get in there because of different sizes. So this one, which is that door and the wall there, you can see what you're getting. That was the front image we showed you, but then as you turn it around, look at all of that, the different sizes. So you've got the smaller door all the way up to the larger, and of course, the reflections will then match all of these sizes. So you can print those off and create different scale projects. So for example, I'm going to be using these today, and my project's slightly larger, so I've gone for the largest die. But if you maybe want to do a small favour card, or maybe you just want to build the perspective down slightly and scale it down, you can do that with all of these elements and the brickwork as well. Everything has been so well thought of, which is why working with True Red Robins, you know you're going to get the outcome that you really wanted to achieve, because it's so easy. So I thought, what would be best to do? And some of you may have seen me doing a little bit of mixed media and a little bit of construction things, and I thought, well, for me, working with dies is a brilliant way to craft, because you get the cut image, you've got the reflection, you've got the full piece to work with. So I thought, why don't I combine something I've done previously with a new take on it? And it's here actually. I did a frame the other day on Create and Craft, and I thought, why don't we turn this into a True Red Robins project, because we've got a lot of cards to show you. And if I show you some of these here, you can see using those reflections, I've made the most beautiful cards. So looking at ones like this, you can see the silver birch in there, you've got the lovely little owls, you've got your garden instruments as well, with all of the foliage. So as you're actually getting to see all of that come together, you can see how all of these individual elements make these full pieces. And I thought, I absolutely love cards. So we could do a card and we could do a home decor piece, because it's paper crafting, but it's not just for maybe a gifting of a card. But you can see there, that silver birch die is being turned into the card shape. So how innovative is that you can use the card shape to its advantage and create a freestanding project like that. So I'm gonna get straight into it and show you what I've got to start with. And I've dipped in and out of them, so if you might be thinking, which one's this from, which die is that from, I'll be mentioning it throughout so you know which bundle you might want to go for. And of course as well, throughout the video, they're all already on the Highlight Crafts website for you to have a look at. So if you see me building a project that you think you like the look of a certain element, all of them are on there, and the imagery is displayed as well, so you know exactly what you're getting in each kit. So it's all there for you, don't have to worry. And of course, after this video, it will still be on the Highlight Crafts Facebook page, so you can go back and watch it wherever you want to, maybe if it's a tip or a technique that you want to try it yourself. So what I did was I printed the reflections off the Highlight Crafts website, and I started with the brick walls. Okay, so on your actual sheet of reflections for this one, it will look the same as this. So you get the one that matches up with your die. So you can see here the die overlays for all of your brickwork. Then you get a lovely set of mismatched bricks, which I love as well, because then you can decoupage these on and get the depth. So you could actually add shading behind these, or maybe even lights or something. but then you get a beautiful square cut. So of course this could be your back layer, this could stand out from the front to give you the depth and realism of the bricks. Then you can then add in your little ones individually, but that's what I started with. Okay, so I sort of went back to the bricks, if you sort of see what I did here. So we're starting off with our 2 brick panels, and I'm quickly just going to glue these down onto a construction board base. Now, this entire project that I am doing, I have mentioned I'm doing it as a slight home decor piece, but you could do this as a card because everything can be scaled to size, because the particular elements I've chosen as focal points are the ones you do get in multiple sizes. I just want to say good afternoon as well to everybody that is joining us today. It's Donna, lovely to see you, Donna. Thank you for joining us, Teresa. Thank you for joining. It's lovely to be able to get back and be able to do these, because I said last time, it's nice to be able to share a little bit more of inspiration and ideas behind the shows. And as well, when we do the shows at Create and Craft, we make the boards, we have the reflections cut out as well, and we do things like this, which has all of the kits in for us. And then what we do back at Highlight Crafts is then we archive this and save it. So you can go into things like your dies, and we'll keep them all with the reflections. Then you've got all of these little elements, and it's just a little bit of an insider as to what actually goes on behind the scenes, because it can be one full weekend of shows at Create and Craft, but this little box is where it all lives. So when we come to do these videos, go straight to the box and get it all out and start crafting with it. So it's lovely to be able to work with kits like this, because the way that they're all built, it's so well structured so that you can play with different elements and know it's all going to work together. So I've got that sort of brick background, and I've got that seam that runs down the centre. So I thought, well, how can I disguise this? So that's when you then come into this piece, which is your die. Okay, so we've cut this out and it gives you all the brick edge, and also you can see on the back you get all of the embossing, which means you could snip some of these out if you wanted to change them. It's absolutely fab. So I'm going to add some foam tape, I think, onto the back of this one, just here. So if I stick some foam tape onto here, I can raise it up off the surface. So I'm going to take a bit away from there. And I think I'm always swayed, or should I say drawn towards, doing these slightly home decor style projects, because that was my roots with a bit of mixed media. But being able to tie it into papercraft is something I'm finding is so achievable, which means for me, working with dies is so enjoyable. But if you're in the same situation where you're thinking, well, this might be the first time you're dipping into a collection, it's the perfect opportunity to do it, because when they're at a price like that, it's a great sort of a taster, if you like, or it could be a way of maybe if it was that particular time of year or something, you weren't able to get hold of that collection, you can now get it at a great price to complete your kit, if you like. So I've gone into those dies, and what I've done is I've got the reflection and I've cut out the door, and you can see here you've actually got a barn, like a stable door here, so it opens and it's got that realistic look. You can see it's actually already open in the image, and you've got a very dark background sort of looking like the sun's shining in, and you know when you get those dark shadows inside the house. So I've cut one again, and I actually went round and cut the window so it opens like that. So I've just snipped around the inside. Then I thought if I overlay the two like this, and we actually run through some black cardstock with that die, we could just build it up. Now there probably wouldn't be that much essential for using this back reflection, but I'd already cut it, so I thought I'm going to use it anyway. But then you can see we've got there sort of like the inside of our house. So we can start to build this up in the centre of where our bricks are, because when we turn this to the side, if you can see there, we have the bricks coming out multi-dimensional. So it's going to add more layers to our card. So I'm going to put this layer down first, okay, which is my reflection side. And I probably would have foam taped this one up actually, but I don't want to add too much depth to the front because I don't know how far out with the layers I'm going to bring it just yet. So if I sit this one right in the centre there, we've got our door. So I'm going to add this one on again. Okay. The reason why I was going to do that is as I was going to cut those bricks off and decoupage them up, but it's okay. I'll lay it this way. And then I'm going to just stick this one over the top there and there. Okay, so I'm going to layer that up. So I've got extra thickness now to this, so it feels much more stable. So we've got our little door now that opens and folds, which just looks fab. And within this kit as well, you get some windows, which are brilliant because they're like the really old style barn shutter windows, and you can see they're open. So if you wanted to, when you look at that, you can see the window's been slid open. If you were to slice here and here, you could have just a square window with the panes inside. So there's two different ways in which you can use this. And you can see in the Morning Delights collection, you've got the window in there, the door and the brick that I've already used. As well, on the bottom of that, you can see those crates. How brilliant would they look as little window boxes with flowers in? Because you do, again, get multiple sizes of those. So that's other ways that you can create that perspective and start to build the story. So what I've got here is I'm going to put my house to one side a second, and I went into this particular die, and I think this one's a web exclusive, but it goes brilliant with the Bumblebee Barn that we've got on here. So all the dies will go brilliantly with that. And I thought I just wanted to show you a different way in which we can use this. So if I snip the bottom off like this, okay, and then I'm going to snip all the way around here. There we go. So I'm actually going to snip the whole top section away. So we're going to take this piece away, which has left us with this. And when you tilt it upside down, it looks a little bit like a basket. So if I take a little bit more of the curve off that top here, I'm going to go into my Nature's Homestead collection. And in that collection, you've got this beautiful die. And you can see this one here is the lightly shaded. So this here is your reflections for this one. And the one thing I really do love about this is that when you cut it out in the reflection colorway, you can also cut it just in brown cardstock. So you can see when you're layering them up, you could have bits that are withered, older foliage, maybe doing autumnal cards, which I'll show you a little bit later on. But the imagery that you're getting here means you've got all this to snip into and play with, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So if I just line this one up, I'm going to take the die off of here. Get a bit of tape just to line this one up here. There we go. And the reflections all line up beautifully. Of course, when you're printing your reflections, depending on your printer size, you want to have them to actual size or 100%. You could always run through like a black and white copy if you wanted to double check before you've done it, so you've not wasted any ink. I know I do that quite a lot. But if you've got like a printer that you can save the settings on, super easy, because then it's the same every time. So I'm going to lay that into my die cutting machine and just run this through quickly. So thank you again for everyone for joining us. I can see here that we've got the Nature's Homestead collection. Again, 45 dies that you're getting within there. Original price of $127.94 down to $44.99 if you are a Robin's Nest member, which is brilliant because the saving you're getting works out at probably 2 or 3 of those dies, probably just 2 of those as there would be full price on their own, which is an immense saving that you're going to get with that collection. So my die is cut out here, so I'm just going to take my die away from the edge here and I'm going to pop it back, and you also get the foundation edge, so the big matte layer that goes around. So of course this could sit freestanding if you wanted it to, or it can sit in, tuck into an area of your collection. So I'm going to pop it away with my reflections. And what I thought would look really nice is to really just take advantage of this die and snip into it to show you that you can do this with this particular die or any other of the foliage sets. Now, if I put some white cardstock underneath, you might see it slightly better. So if I put this down here, when I lay this over the top, you'll see all of the bits sticking out. There we go. So you've got all these little elements. So I'm going to snip off this sprig here. We're going to take off this one. Almost feels like we're destroying the flower, but it actually works so well. Use it to your complete advantage, because it just means that everything then can be used in a different way. We've got these lovely little bits of ivy, and I chose to do it with this particular die because it had most elements that sort of swirled off in different directions. We've got other little leaves in here as well, all these different sections that we've got here to work with. There we go. So I'm going to snip out as well. You've got all the embossing lines and snip lines. I'm going to cut out these lovely little yellow flowers that we've got here because these look beautiful on their own, because there's embossing details in every single flower, no matter how small they get. So every single one, even if you were to cut this, for example, on a black cardstock and run a gilding wax over it, all of the foliage would just pop from the surface because of all of those embossing lines. Here we are. Just going to bring this round. Let's have a look. Let's see. So I'm going to take this round here. I'm not sure if that foam tape is on our shop actually. I will check on that for you, but thank you for asking. I will definitely check on that, Teresa, and I will let you know, okay? I think we did at one point have some, but I'll just check if we've still got it. but it was a 3mm depth foam tape that I was using. And you can create that depth with multiple layers of foam tape. One thing that never really occurred to me, because when we do these demonstrations, we use a lot of adhesives, a lot of tapes. You can see that one is perfect. So that double-sided foam tape there, the 5mm 1.6mm by 46mm, is the perfect one to go for. That is a massive bundle of foam tape on there. You're getting like 46 meters. Whoa. That is a lot of foam tape. It almost looks like a frisbee. That photo doesn't do it justice, but you're going to get plenty in there. I mean, you've got hundreds of projects to create, so that's what I would go for. And it's, I mean, £8.60, it's a brilliant price. But with foam tapes as well, it never really occurred to me to double layer them and things like that. When I was using them, I'd always go right for my 5mm for a 5mm depth. Just layer them up and build them up even higher. So that's a really good one to go for, because with the 5mm depth, it means you've got that brilliant depth to work with. So 1.6mm depth, I mean, you can layer it up to get the thickness that you want. So I've snipped all these little bits off here now, okay, and what I'm going to do is bring back this that we had to start with. And what it means is we can make our own little hanging basket. So I've got my hot glue gun here, so I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back here. I'm going to work on the reverse to start with. I'm going to build it up from the back because we won't see the back, but you can see as we start to layer it up, we can then build in bits of foliage. So I'm going to bring this one through onto the back as well. And I'm just using my glue gun for this for quickness, because it's obviously instant adhesion with this one, but I've got a little bit of wiggle room as well just before it's set. So I'm bringing these bits of foliage up from behind, and you can see then as I bring it forward, we can really start to layer it up. So if I take, let's have a look, we'll take a little bit more of these leaves here, snip these away. There we go. So I'm going to snip bits of these leaves off because we can have them poking out. So when you're following the cut lines on your dies, it doesn't matter if you've got an unneat edge to a certain element that you've taken away, because you can hide it behind other areas. So I'm just going to snip this bit off because these lovely little blue flowers that we've cut, they're a little bit like abricias. These would look lovely flowing down the front. And what we're actually going to try and create here is a miniature hanging basket. Now, the thing is, I'm creating this with this flower die set, but imagine all the different outcomes that you could create with all of the foliages within those 4 bundles of hanging baskets, borders, flower beds, or even just bouquets. There's an endless supply to work with there. And what I tend to usually do is I'll get the die, I'll print the reflection and I'll cut it multiple times and just basically have like a little bundle of it. I've got one here actually, let me show you. There we go, so the heather one, which is a brilliant die. That one is from the Cottonwood Clearing. And the heather die, use a Craftmaster wallet and then get loads of cuts and have them sat in there ready for your collections. And then whenever you're working on your projects, you can just go into that pouch, take some of them out of there, then you've got loads to work from. So it's a little bit like you've created your own miniature shop in your craft room and you're thinking, well, I need a bit of foliage. Oh, I'll just pick that one. And it's all cut for you. So if you've got the reflections there and the dies, having a stash printed means that if you've quickly got a birthday coming up you forgot about, you can make a card in seconds. It's fab. Such a good idea. So I'm going to take a little bit more of these flowers here just to glue them on, and I've got a finished one to show you. But if we build this up, here we are. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of this foliage at the back. So I'm using that hot glue again to build this up. Here we go. I'll pick that up there. And then there's all these lovely little sort of vines of pale purple and blue within this one. We can add a bit of greenery inside here as well. So again, gluing on the back. So of course the plants sit inside the basket and then certain elements will trail and overhang the front. So we've got this one here with that lovely little bit of ivy on. And this takes me back to when I used to always stay at my grandparents' house on a Friday evening. I'd always stay, and my granddad, on the Saturday morning, we'd always do gardening together. And I can remember when he started to do his hanging baskets, and I used to love it because we'd go around and poke holes in all of the moss and feed the little plants through. And I always think it looked so bizarre, but then as soon as the flowers started to take and they'd come through, it would all like bunch out. But you can see here, what that's created is a lovely little hanging basket. So what I've got here is a few more, and then I've just glued on a little bit of jewellery chain to the back, and we've got these little hanging baskets with all the little vines. Now you could build these up as much as you wanted to, but they're a really neat little idea that you could add just to the center of a card. Imagine that just in the center of an oval card there with a sentiment. It really is just something quite precious. So I'm going to pop paper to one side and we're going to go back to our brick wall. Now we've got our lovely windows on here that we started with, and I've actually cut some card here to sit behind the back of these windows like that. So I've got some vellum, and this is from some of the downloadable files on Highlight Craft's website, and this is the sky background from one of those files. There's absolutely loads to pick from, and I've concertinaed it in on itself like that, so it looks like a little Roman blind. So what I'm going to do is take the tape off the front of this window here. There we are. Let's remove this tape. And I wanted to show you a bit. This is probably a slightly bigger project that I would choose to demonstrate on Create and Craft for you, because there's a few more steps to it, but it's a project that you could do at home, and you could spend the day doing this from start to finish, or you could do it in so many different outcomes or different ways. But you can see they're gluing that concertinaed vellum on the inside. It looks like a little Roman blind, which I just think is so cute. And then if I go and get just a little bit more of that red liner tape, I've got some here. Let's start this roll off. I'm going to actually add it onto the back. Because I've used vellum, I've chosen to use the double-sided tape. And the reason for that is sometimes the vellum, of course, with vellum, it's got a plasticky surface to it. It can buckle with wet glue. So using the tape will give an instant grab, and it won't actually distort any of the vellum. And also it's translucent as well. So without throwing that across my project, I'm going to bring it straight over, and I've chosen a piece of cream cardstock for this. It's from a pack of cardstock. I think we've got, I think you get 50. And I've chosen cream because then it's like a light coloured bedroom. So I'm going to add a bit of tape just to the back of here, just like that. And then I can stick this down onto the front of my project. Now the window is open, so I'm going to place it to the edge. Please do excuse me a second, I'm just going to have a quick drink. Don't know why my voice is dried out. There we go. So you can see there that some of the windows I've just been using from that Morning Delights collection, they are on there for you as well to be able to use. So instead of concertinaing this one, just for time, I'm going to just snip it just here. If I snip it a little bit further off and tuck it behind this particular one, because I want to still make sure I can show you the next project. So I'm going to peel this off, take that in there like that. I'll add a little bit of tape pen this time, just to show you there's different ways in which you can use it. Because of course, if you've not got the tape that I'm using now, but you may have got one of those, you can still do the same project. So I'm going to take my cream cardstock, overlay it again. So we've created like the front of a little cottage, and I love doing stuff like this, and it reminds me of when I used to do model making with little bits of scenery and stuff. So I think that's what's drawn me to do this particular project. But I looked at a few of the samples that the design team did, and they're just absolutely beautiful because there's so many ways in which you can do it. And I just love the fact that you could have this door if you wanted to as a freestanding one. So you can see there, we've got the windows and these lovely little, it just opens like that. But now we can add our hanging baskets in here. So we've got our hanging basket on our chain. I'm going to add some hot glue to the back. I'm going to position it around about here. There we go, just like that. Stick it down there, and we're going to take our second one. This window, I think we've got a bit of subsidence in this building. There we go, we can straighten that up ever so slightly. If I get my card straight, there we go. And that's one thing I used to struggle with actually, was getting things on my project straight. And I never really had that, discovered that I had a little difficulty with that when I did mixed media, because it was very expressive. But when I took it into card making, the way I learned was use the tools that I never really took as guides, and that was my cutting mat, for example, lining it up with the edge, being able to see where it's straight, and then sometimes I'd just get a piece of paper with a right angle on it, just with a corner, and just line it up to see if it was right to the eye. It's so easy to do once you've got the angles, just getting your corners up to the edges like this, following your lines, making sure it's straight. Do excuse me, I don't know why I'm drying out today. I'd usually have a cup of tea, but excuse me, don't know what's going on there. It's all that lovely summery weather. So what I've got now is my building that's set in front of me. So what I'm going to do is take my frame, and we're going to lay my frame face, so you can see there, as soon as I start to frame this, it just sets off the whole image. Now I wanted it so the windows start to disappear underneath the frame there, but now we can really start to build this up. So if I just lay this down onto the front, what I'm going to do is take some hot glue. I'm going to put a blob just here, here, and in all four corners. There we are. So now I'm going to sort of centralise this the best I can, and then flip it around just to make sure I've got it right, which I'm quite happy with. Yeah, that looks okay. So we've got that in the middle now. Just squeeze that together while that hot glue just goes off a little bit. And again, I've used the hot glue just because it gave me an instant grab for that. And as well, if I ever wanted to take this out, I could just take the heat gun to it and it would reactivate that hot glue, meaning it would come straight off, which is brilliant. So just a few finishing touches. This is completely optional. You could then build up the dimension with this if you wanted to. So I've got some brick walls here, and that image that we started with, this one here, I thought what would be great to cut this out and cut it straight down the middle, which left me with this. So you can see we've got half of the wall here, and I took this piece and then I thought, well, I also want to use the other brick wall that comes with it again, the one that I used in the background, which looks like this. And I wanted a brick wall to run across the front of our building, so we almost looked like it was the edge of a street. So you can see here, all of this had a very straight line to it. And I thought, well, how do I make it look more natural? And taking that piece with the edge, we can have it over the top, which just gave me like a little buzz, because it now looks like stacked bricks on a farmer's field. So you've got all of the odd edges there, which I just think looks brilliant. And after I did that, I just thought, right, this collection for me just means now I can do anything, because transforming something like that just gave so much enjoyment. And you'll feel the exact same way as you're using it. So I've got two little pieces of the wall there, and you can see because I had that straight edge, I then thought, right, we can overlay this on here like that, and it gives us that beautiful chopped wall. So I'm going to take a bit of glue and just run it down the top of here like that. There we go. I don't know why I just had hot glue stuck to my face. I think it gets absolutely everywhere. And then I'm going to take a little bit more wet glue onto the back of this piece here. And what I did is, you might be able to tell that this edge isn't exactly straight. I did go in with the scissors and just jagged it a little bit, just so it gives me a little bit more of a blend towards the top there. So I've got my two walls now created side by side. And this is a really fun project that you could do with the children as well, because you could make different dioramas, or you can make different scenes, and you could maybe then put them all together and make a street, all with different doors. You could change the colour of the reflection, make your own little scene with those. So there's plenty to do with it. So I've taken the two walls, we can place these over the front here. And then I went into the freestanding die. Now this one is in the Cottonwood Clearing collection. And this particular one, you can see it's got the style here where you'd stand over this. I can always remember tripping over these on countryside walks. We used to go on every single weekend, and I would always trip up on these every single time. I don't know why, but they look absolutely beautiful. I don't know why. There's just something about them that just has that real countryside feel with the step, even with the grass around the bottom. But you can see that that comes within that bundle, which is at an S member's price of $44.99, which is just brilliant. So I'm going to lay it over the front here, and I'm going to even it out ever so slightly. So if I firstly add in my brick wall, so I'm going to take some hot glue to the surface of my frame here. I promise nothing's going on. I don't know why my throat has just gone very dry today. There we are. So I'm going to lay this one over here. A bit of hot glue on my frame again. And this is, when I first did this frame, it had rice papers and things on the glass. And I always think using paint and stuff, upcycling, reusing, so that's exactly what I've done here. I've taken this one, used it as it is, some hot glue just on the base here. There we go. And I've laid it just in the middle. And then I've cut it again, twice over, but I actually cut the top piece away and just kept the foliage, because then I thought it will add a really nice base to our wall. So I've come all the way around here, and I've just used the bits of grass to put around the base of the wall. Then you could go into your dies again, and you could even start to create weeds or little bits of foliage that's gathered up around the bottom of the wall. It just makes it look so realistic. And then because I'd used those dies and I didn't want to waste any bits, I'd cut the freestanding style away from the grass, and I was left with the fence posts at either side, which are these, and I thought, well, let's use them as lintels for the tops of the windows. So we even have different elements that wasn't actually specifically designed for that purpose, but it works brilliantly. So that can sit over the top there, and that can be the lintel that sits above the window frame. So it all just ties together so well. Now this to me is screaming out for lights to be inside it. Now that would be an incredible finishing touch. But if you were to take any picture frame, even if you've just been to the charity shop, or there's a frame hanging on your wall right now where you're thinking, you know, I've had that frame for ages, I want to change it a little bit, you can do. Even with bits of foliage. So again, that heather, this comes in so many different colourways. I'm going to snip the basket off there because I don't need the basket. And I'm going to tuck it underneath there, and it just adds more foliage, so it looks like this is now in the front garden. So I can take this away, pop some hot glue under, and just tack it down inside there, and it starts to frame the image. It just looks magnificent. And the thing is with this is the kits are designed with sort of complete crafting ability, meaning that any crafter at all, paper crafter, beginner, can do this, because this is the first project I have ever made with 2 Red Robins dies. I've never ever made a project with them before. This is the first one. So for me, it's because the other day I said, I've just realised I'm cutting my first 2 Red Robins die. I can't believe it. I've done so many other little different bits, and I just thought this is my opportunity to really just sort of have a play with it and just enjoy it. And that's exactly what it enabled me to do, because there were so many different things where it either reminded me of a holiday I'd been on, or even the weekend we've just had, or even maybe a visit in a family or friend's home. It really brought back those memories, but it meant that I could craft with all of that kit and recreate those. So it's so beautiful. And as well, within that kit, you get a this way die, and it's a lovely little signpost with all different directional arrows on it. And I thought this would look great just to the side, because maybe it's somewhere you're coming along a countryside walk, and this might be that little cottage house or even a little cafe, and then this is just sitting at the side there. Now this could be displayed on a wall, or it could be given as a gift, but I think that would just look absolutely beautiful. Maybe at the bottom of the stairs as you're coming into the house, there's a really nice welcoming, and you can see there I've used the Cottonwood Clearing die bundle, and I've dipped into other elements as well. And we've got depth, we've got a story in here, we've got the door we can go into, we've got the windows with our little Roman blinds, we've got the wall. And what I love about this is what I really did want to show you, and that's taking one particular die and using it in different ways. And it was using the reflection as the background, but then taking it and using it as a wall with a topped edge. So it's a completely different way of 2 different dies, or even making the hanging basket out of a beehive. There's so many things that you can recreate, and when it's actually mesmerising to see the designers work on these collections, because as it comes together and Stephanie and the whole team are involved thinking, well, we could do this and we could create that with that, it just works. It clicks like that, because there's so many elements, and we've created so many elements now for you, and there's so many more to come. But you can see how the stories evolve and go on. You can go back into your previous collections and still create a beautiful project that's different every single time. But 4 amazing bundles within this collection. Now, I do have time for another demonstration, which I'm very grateful for. So I can still show you something, and I won't cut it all out for you, but most of it is done. But you can see there the Cottonwood Clearing collection, your die bundle. You have that freestanding die, which I used as a gate for the front of the house. You have all of your foliage. You have that heather in there as well, which is a brilliant die. You might think it's just a plant, but it works so well, and there's different colourway reflections for these. You do have that beautiful archway as well, that beautiful ruin that sits in the background. Great for setting the scene with that one. So many different elements that you can use. There's tons, and that bicycle as well, that would have looked great leaned up against the front of that house, almost like you stopped off on your journey. I might add that later on actually. But there's so many different bits to play with in there, with an amazing saving of £81.90, which is just incredible. As well, you have your Morning Delights bundle, which you can see I used the door and the brick wall from that one. You then have that beautiful drawn together bundle of flowers bouquet at the bottom. $49.99 or $44.99 if you are a Robin's Nest member. So you can see tons to work with in that kit, and it's so beautifully put together. The colourways and all those reflections really just lend themselves to pure beauty, because you can see how easy it is to tone together. And those lovely little crates as well, great as flower boxes, even on their own as a centrepiece for a card. And you've got Bumblebee Barn as well, which is fab. You've got all of those elements in there. You've got the little tiny robin, he's so cute, and the feathers as well. And even that little section of drain pipe there, how beautiful would that look, filled with all those feathers and the little robin sat in there like he's making a nest. That gate bolt that you've got as well there is an incredible die to use. You'll find yourself using that in so many different projects, because I've never seen a bolt die before. That to me was like something completely new. Again, an incredible price for that bundle on there. Nature's Homestead as well. I'm going to be using that one next, and you can see you've got your watering can in there that comes in multiple different sizes, and I'll even show you how small to large these go. You've got your silver birch kit in there as well, so a beautiful die to work with in multi different sizes. Actually a really large die in there as well, which is brilliant for different dimensions, and those working tools as well, just showing you how versatile that kit really is, and you can span it across so many different genres. It can be for anyone, it can be for men, women, anyone at all you want to gift these to. They're non-specific, and as well, you never see the humans. It's always about the animals, or what the humans have left behind and the animals have decided to reclaim as their own. So there's always a story to tell. And of course, all of those incredible prices that you're seeing as a Robin's Nest member, you can join the membership today for £24 for 12 months, which gives you loads of benefits. You get 10% off all your purchases on the Highlight Craft website. You do get free delivery as well on orders over £25, and you get an early access to web exclusive, which is great because it means you're there first. You do get your Robin's Lesson lanyard that you can see there, and you get a pin badge as well. And you do get all the special offers. You get a window sticker, and as well, what's brilliant is you can get to hear about all of the workshops and retreats before anybody else, which means that you've got complete advantage to get in there first. And of course, we'll let you know when all the best things happening. So you've got that, which is an incredible price for £24 for 12 months, which is just great. And you can go straight to the Highlight Crafts website, as you can see there. And we've got those 4 big bundles that we're working with. Then of course, this might spark off a bit of inspiration for you. You might want to have a little look around to see what else we've got. We've got some brilliant offers, but $49.99 for any 4 of those bundles is an amazing, it's a phenomenal price. The amount of creativity that you're getting within that kit, allowing you to express it in so many different ways. It's a beautiful, beautiful collection to have. And the price is just amazing. It's an unbelievable price. So I said I wanted to use a little bit of an array of dies in this one, but I'm prominently using the Nature's Homestead, and you can see all of the elements I've cut out here. So I've gone a bit crazy, but you know what? The thing is with the 2 red robins is more is more. The more layers you build up, the more you create, the more effective and pleasing to the eye the collections I think actually look. So I've got this coloured background here. I picked this out from my stash. It's from one of the 2 red robins collections. You may already have this, but there's plenty on the website as well, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to download or use. But I'm just going to cut it out. Sorry, not cut it out. I'm going to stick it down onto a piece of brown craft card, and I'm going to use it this way. I've got little duckies in the water here, and I've chosen this particular colourway because even though we are going into spring and summer, we're seeing a lot of florals at the minute, and we're seeing a lot of pops of colour, and I thought, you know, I still like to craft for all seasons, even if it's the start of the year. So maybe you might be making your Christmas cards at the moment. You know, we all craft for different times of the year. And I thought I'd like to do something autumnal, and I'd like to share that with you and show you that you can do something like that with this collection, but also something completely current and on trend like summer, making hanging baskets. So there's so many different ways that you can choose to tailor it to your season or time of the year. So I've got this background, and I thought I have to use this. I've got to use it somewhere, and it's that silver birch die. And in fact, if I quickly show you some of the dies here, you can see the overlooked die. You've got all those watering cans in different sizes, and these are the reflections that go with it, just to give you a bit of an insight as to what they look like. Now I'm going to show you these ones because it's the easiest way of showing you how much you're getting. That's one die set within that bundle. That's incredible. You can see that down from the teeniest, tiniest watering can, which means you can do super small cards, or you can build the perspective yourself. Maybe you want a really big watering can with the bird sat on top. Maybe you want the watering can tucked away in the background with a big bird at the front, so you can build the perspective and show the dimension. You can do all of that because then you've even got the spouts and the handles that go with every size. So for me, that was a game changer within craft, because you're no longer restricted to a certain size, because there's nothing worse than getting a die or a piece of artwork and thinking I have to now tailor this around the size I've got. Whereas with this, you can completely change it. And what I love is the way that the reflections are coloured. Every single time they look like pieces of pure artwork. They are an absolute dream. And you can see just overlaying things together, it goes together beautifully. Now I've used a smaller one here because I thought this could maybe be the start of another tree or just a stump. But it shows you, if you wanted to, in the background, you can build the perspective and make things look larger and smaller depending on where you place them. So I'm going to place this one down here at the edge. Now I've got an 8x8 card for this, and I thought, well, I'm going to have it overhanging slightly on the edge because I quite like to see the finished edge of the card at the top, but overhanging it on the edge just gets rid of that squared, that sort of streamline. It sort of softens it a little bit so you're not restricted within the shape. And of course I've done it on a larger scale so you'd be able to see everything properly, but you could maybe do this on a 6x6 depending on what size you want to go for, because again, you've got ones that go down to as small as that on your silver birch or to as big as that. So you've got a die for every size. So it's completely up to you. I'm going to take this silver birch branch here, place this one down on the back. There we go. Now, I wanted to show you how you construct this. So when you've got your watering can, you get your spout and you get your handle. And of course, you can position this whichever way you want to, or you don't have to use any. That could be a tin on its own. It could be something sat in a farmyard. You could have a collection of these different colourways. If I just show you here, this beautiful sample shows you that you can use it as a flower pot. You could use it as a bucket if you want to, and that's in a rusty red colour with the work tools around it. That to me is so beautiful. It looks stunning, and with all those flowers just growing out the top of there, it almost looks like a forgotten about bit of garden work that sort of nature's decided to take over. Because I do it myself. I do gardening. I start and I pot these plants and I maybe get seeds, and then when they come out of the pot and go in the ground, the pot goes behind the back of the shed, and you forget about it till next spring. And when you go back, there's a different plant growing out of it. That actually happened to me this weekend. But it's something that is relatable. So when you're using it in your craft, but it's something that you can almost think, yeah, that's happened to me. It makes the whole experience so much more enjoyable. So I'm going to take the spout, and we've got these two little anchor points you can see there on the spout. So I'm going to position those on this sort of rim of the watering can here, and then position the spout there. And then I'm going to take some glue to the front piece and back piece. And that's because I'm going to have the back going behind the reflection and the handle sitting on the front here. So now it looks like our watering can's ready to be picked up or poured. You see, there's different ways you can use it. I absolutely it just blows me away. I think that's fab. And the coloured artwork in that as well. It looks like that cobalt rusty blue colourway, and then you've got more colourways to play with. So I'm going to position this about here. Now with this particular one, you could build it up to create a story, or if you wanted to, that there could be your card shape. So if you folded over a piece of white blank card and cut it just under the cut line, you could have just a standing card with your watering can, and then you could build all your foliage around it just like that. And it could be just a small token. That's how easy it is to craft with this. It's a simple cut and it's away you go. That's how amazing this collection is. And as well, if you have joined me as well today, I'd love to see some of your projects if you've been working with the 2 Red Robins kits, just to see what you've been up to, because it gives me a great deal of inspiration as well. And because you may have seen me doing some of the Tattered Lace shows and a few other shows with dies recently, I'm definitely still learning. So for me, being able to see which ways you can sort of use your dies, I think it's a great way to be able to share that experience, which is what I love doing these videos for. So when you've got artwork like this, it doesn't matter how you decoupage it. You could lay it flat. I'm literally going with my glue and laying it flat, and you still get 3-dimensional effectiveness from this because you've got the shading within the artwork, which means you don't have to spend hours and so much time shaping your flowers, getting the depth. You can stick them down as they are, which means if you've got dexterity and you're unsure on how to shape them or position them, it's so easy to do. So I've cut out the owl here, and he's quite large, so I've sat him at the very front, so it almost looks like anything behind here is then going to be in the background. So I'm just going to add some glue to the back of him here, and I've only added it to the bottom because I might tuck in some foliage around the top later on. So I'm just going to add him, straighten him up a little bit. There we go. and I've got those heathers again. So this time I've cut them in a sort of a mauvey brown colour. So we're going to have these, and then we've got our beautiful artwork of those fork and spade you can see here, and I've cut it once out of my reflection, and then I've cut it again on some black cardstock, and I chose black because if any edges are showing, it may just look like an extended version of the reflection, but also this is going to give me a bit of strength because I cut that reflection on 140 GSM, and usually I do it on 250, but because I'm doing a flat project I thought, oh, 140, but then it only occurred to me after I printed it and I thought actually it's quite lightweight now, but you can see how it still holds its shape, but because I want area of it to hang off a little bit, I don't want any of them to get creased or perforated. So if I have it on this heavyweight cardstock, it'll give me a bit of strength, which also means it's got some weight to it then. They feel like real spades now. So there we go, and this can then start to slot in different areas. We can build up the seam with this. It could go next to the watering can. You know, there's so many different areas that you can play with this. So in fact, if we peel him up a little bit, we can sit them behind. I love doing this. We peel that up, bring it down, and then you can sit there like that. So if I had some glue to the back of that spade, I was lucky then that I'd not let that glue dry too much. There we go. So we can lay that one down there, put it back over, and it looks like he's sort of standing in front of the tools that have been propped up there and forgotten about from years ago. Or maybe he's just decided to come and have a look and see what's happening because they weren't there last week. So we can see now we've started to build more depth and dimension going into the project just by layering things in the foreground and background. And this was that die I used in the first demonstration, and you can see it slightly shaded. Cut it in the brown, which means when we overlay this in different areas, we've just got little bits of foliage. It looks like that wispy dried grass because I wanted to do an autumnal theme. So I'm going to snip it just here. I'm going to take this piece away, so I'm left with just that, and I can tuck it in behind like that, and I can start to just add foliage in wherever you want to pick and choose because it's that easy. I'm just going to peel that forward. There we are. I'm going to take some of the heather. I'm going to snip the basket off the base. There we are. I think I'm going to tuck that in behind there. And what I usually do is when I've cut everything out, I'll sort of lay it out in front of me. I'll think, right, this is how it looks, or you can create your own photo, choose where you want things, and then start sticking it down. But I sort of end up going off on a bit of a tangent sometimes and completely forget the way I did it and then change it every single time. So that's why I love doing these, because sometimes when I actually put it together here for you, it's completely different to how I first ever thought it would be. So sometimes you never quite know what you're going to get, but it's always going to look beautiful. Now we've got these two little owls, and I thought I'll need to have one here and one here because he just looks amazing perched on top of the watering can. And if I snip into his beak here, I can get it so his beak's like 3D, so I can tuck something in there. So if I stick him, let's say we'll put him there. Okay, so I'm going to add some glue to the back of him. I'm not going to place glue around his beak because I still want that to be able to lift off. But I'm going to stick it, let's put him there. There we go. So I'm just going to hold that down. And then if I take a little bit of these brown leaves, now these come with your silver birch, so you can see here, you've got the little silver birch die and all these beautiful orange crumpled leaves. Now I can just tuck that, if I get a bit of glue, on one of the leaves, only you don't need them on them all, inside his beak there. You can take this back to his nest. So it looks like he's holding on to that, which I just think is so cute, and the little twigs there as well. So it looks like he's just picked this up from all the foliage, and away he is. I'm going to take this heather again, and I think I might place it just down here, like that. But then if I take another heather, let's have a look. If I take another heather and take the basket off, I can position that over it. So it doesn't, obviously, we might not have heathers in plant pots in the middle of the wilderness, but you could do if you're creating a cottage garden. So we can place that just there, overlap that. And then with that lightly shaded, I wanted a bit of the greenery in there as well. So I'm going to snip this one off. So we've got some of our flowers starting to wilt. Maybe we're coming into autumn, but we can have some of them still with that greenery in there. So we can tuck that again behind there and really just start to have a play and build it up. And then all of those little brown leaves, just stick them wherever you think looks best as they've fallen from those birch trees. It looks absolutely beautiful. And yeah, our old house, we used to have birch trees on the driveway, and I didn't actually realise, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I used to peel. They've got like, it's like a film, and when the trees used to sort of molt, it used to like peel away from the trunk, and it was like wafer thin. But I used to use it in craft because it made absolutely lovely foliage for like model making and things like that. But it used to literally come off like tissue paper. It was brilliant. I don't have one of those anymore though, unfortunately. But you can see here what I'm doing is layering these little pieces up. And I'm sorry if we've gone over ever so slightly. We did start a little bit late for you, so I wanted to make sure you still managed to see everything. So thank you ever so much if you're staying with us, or if you're watching this maybe later on, if you've got home from work. Maybe this could be a project for you. These will still be at that incredible price for you, so don't think you've missed out. You can still get them on the website at those prices. You can see the savings you're getting is just phenomenal. So these almost look like they're falling in areas. So we've really been able to build this up and make it our own. And I think I'm going to stop there with this one because I love how it's turned out. I love the depth that we've got. We've got a bit of perspective and balance going off. We've got the tools, we've got the dies, we've got the watering can. This is sort of that rusty old bucket. It's collected some old water. The owls have come down for a drink. They've picked up some stuff for the nest. You can see here, this could be a beautiful card for you to gift to absolutely anybody, but it tells a story. It almost looks like a frozen image in time. You've captured an image of a beautiful scene. But I really would like to hear some of your feedback as well, because for me, I've actually really enjoyed doing this, but it's, like I say, something new for me, and I'd love to be able to do it again. So if you're able to give me a bit of feedback, that would be amazing. So if you want to get hold of any of these dies, please do have a look at the Highlight Crafts website. They are all there for you, and I'll show you how incredible the saving is on these. So again, your Nature's Homestead, which you've just seen me using there in that bundle, 45 dies at $44.99. If you are a Robin's Nest member, again, you can join that Nest member and get it for that incredible price. And you're getting a saving of $82.95, which is incredible, saving more than you're spending on that one. And as well, Bumblebee Barn, a beautiful collection, multiple size barns to work with there as well. And look at that tract, that is great. That's a card shape on its own there. $44.99 for a Nest member's price, originally $143.90, so an incredible saving you're getting there of £98.91. That is mind-blowing. That is a saving you want to have. Molding Delights, again, that beautiful wall and the door there. I used that in the first demonstration, incorporating a few elements from this and other collections. Originally $127.94 down to $44.99 if you're in the Nest member. So you can see the $82.95 saving is incredible. You've got so many elements to play with in that one, and a lot as well that you can change and make your own. So sort of like break the shape with these and have a play with them, because you can see there's so many different images these can actually become. As well, we have Cottonwood Clearing. You're getting 32 dies in this one, down to $44.99, was originally $126.89. A beautiful set of images to play with here as well. That archway comes in different sizes, so think of how you can build a perspective with this. And as well, that freestanding die I used in the first demonstration as a little gateway. Really, really beautiful dies to have. Great artwork in there, but an incredible saving of $81.90. That is just unbelievable. And then as well, if you're thinking of those amazing prices as a Nest member, you can join for £24 for a 12-month membership, and in there you're getting 10% off all of your Highlight Crafts purchases on the website, free delivery on orders over £25, and you're getting that early access to website exclusives. You do get a Robin's Nest lanyard as well and a pin badge. You get special offers. You do get a window sticker, so you can pick where to put that, and then hear about all the workshops and retreats first before anybody else. So you've got an exclusive insight as to what's coming up from Red Robins and Highlight Crafts. So there's plenty to be enjoyed there. There's so much to explore, and there's so much for you to see, and there's so much more to come as well. But I just want to take the time as well just to thank everyone for joining us today, because I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you've all had a lovely Easter. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you again for the next one. Take care. Thank you.